while we can have legitimate criticisms here, there is a difference once you cross that line and that threshold over into just making random racist remarks just because there's black people in a film that takes place in ancient Greece. Right. All right. So Universal Pictures has released the official countdown trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. And apparently, some people online are calling this the final trailer. So I guess we can kind of call it that also. And of course, this is going to be dropping later this month in theaters, which, by the way, I've been extremely hyped for the release of this movie. I've loved pretty much Christopher Nolan's entire filmography. Okay. But this one's a little bit different, right? Because I've been noticing this huge hate train for this movie, which we'll talk about it more after this trailer reaction. We'll definitely dive into it and discuss it more on the channel because I have yet to really discuss it. But just to sum it up, for the most part, what I've been seeing people talk about is really the casting choices. There's been like 2 casting choices in particular that people really have not been liking for this film, and we'll discuss it, we'll talk about it. But before we go ahead and do that, let's discuss and watch this official countdown trailer. We're gonna dive in and break this down together. So without further ado, guys, let's watch this together. Let's get into this trailer. Let's go.
Odysseus.
Okay, here we go.
Don't you remember?
Great shots so far.
Thunder.
Really, I love everything I've been seeing out of this movie. I don't really understand what people have been liking here, but we'll get into all that later.
Death.
I remember a wife,
Anne Hathaway, of course.
a son, home.
Great shot.
Ithaca's a kingdom waiting for a king. My dad is coming home. You're pining for a daddy you didn't even know. Like some sniveling bastard.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
Bringing vengeance.
Feels so ominous, right? The suspense that they're building for Odysseus's return.
Bringing it all.
Wow.
I could take the throne.
Really love these set locations, guys, honestly.
Odysseus. Do you think life goes back to the way it was? That world is gone.
Okay.
If he returned, he'd have to kill him. Like you will.
You gods don't speak in ways we understand.
Who doesn't understand
Wow.
pain? Or blood?
This looks
The
excellent.
gods told you.
Then I defy the gods.
Wow. Cut the head off the statue. Okay. The Odyssey. All right, guys. That was the official countdown trailer, aka the final trailer for The Odyssey, releasing July 17th in theaters. Let's go ahead and discuss what we got to see here inside of this trailer. So, like I said, lots of controversy surrounding this one. But in terms of what we got to see in the trailer, I think all of this looks good for the most part. Okay, the set location's very strong. That ominous feel with the slight faint soundtrack in the back, very good stuff there. Okay, the hype and the suspense building around the return of Odysseus, his ship riding in from the sea, all of that looks great here. A-list actors, completely stacked cast here, which, people have had a little bit of a complaint about. I've seen people saying online that it does feel like Hollywood, the movie, or LA, the movie, whatever you would like to call it, which is kind of silly. Hollywood produces a majority of these films, right? So we can expect them to be inside of this movie. In fact, I think we should be hyped that we're getting A-list actors for these performances for the most part, with a brilliant director who has a very strong track record, rarely ever misses. Okay, this guy delivers time after time. When has Nolan ever let us down, especially in recent years? This guy's been going strong for like damn near 2 decades now, guys. What are we talking about? Okay, but let's go ahead and get into the criticisms. Let's talk about it. I do have to look into it a little bit more, but in terms of the general consensus of what I've been seeing, there's been two things. Those two things are, one, Lupita Nyong'o, who's a fantastic actress, by the way. She's been in amazing roles, not only in like Black Panther, right, but also inside of roles like Jordan Peele's Us, and done fantastic jobs there. But she's going to be playing a role inside of this film of Helen of Troy. Now, if you don't know who this is a Greek mythological figure, which I love Greek mythology, by the way, which is why I've been so excited for this movie. But in terms of Greek mythology, this character, Helen of Troy, who Lupita Nyong'o is going to be playing, is apparently some queen who is the daughter of Zeus and influences an army of like thousands of men to go off to war for her. So people have been having a problem with like, oh, do they believe Lupita Nyong'o in terms of her beauty is something that people would be going off to war for, especially in ancient Greece, right, where they wouldn't have like a huge black population at the time. And also just that conversation of like, in a land of ancient Greece, would it really be a black woman's face who all of these armies are going off to war for, right? Which, by the way, guys, this is all mythology. This is Greek mythology. Like, these are fantasy characters. This isn't real, okay? This is all made up. So in terms of like complaining about the historical accuracy of this, it sounds a little ridiculous to me. From what I'm seeing out of the trailer, it seems like they're doing a good job for the most part, okay? And they didn't get like some random actress. They got Lupita Nyong'o, who's a fantastic actress and is probably going to do a very good job here. A lot of the dialogue I've been seeing, now there is legitimate criticisms, but a lot of the dialogue has seemed a little racist, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, the main problem you guys have with this film, or some of the people have with this film, is that there's going to be black people in the movie, which there's only like, what, 2 to 3 from what I'm seeing here. What, we got Lupita Nyong'o, who we really didn't get to see throughout this trailer. We got Travis Scott. Now that one is extremely questionable. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That one is legitimate criticism. You can have an actual problem with Travis Scott playing a somewhat major role inside of this movie, but from what I'm seeing, he is going to be playing a bard, and it makes perfect sense. Travis Scott is a very popular musician, so him playing the role of a bard in ancient Greece, it makes sense. Now, if you have the questions of like, well, were there even black people in ancient Greece? Well, let's go ahead and search that up for you, okay? I'll pull this up on the screen for you guys right now. We could read it together. It says, yes, Africans, particularly from Nubia and Egypt, were present in ancient Greece. While they were not a large population, the historical consensus on Quora shows that they interacted with the Greek society through trade, the military, diplomacy, and enslaved individuals, and were integrated into daily life in bustling hubs like Athens. And then we can even go a little bit further. Okay, we can deepen this dialogue. Let's look at this next part here in terms of like evidence for this. Okay, and it's mentioned in Homer's Odyssey itself, which is why this is like so ridiculous. History majors, fake history majors that are making up these random complaints about this, right? Being a DEI movie, they're calling it. Let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so it says, literary reference, Homer's Odyssey, dating back to the 8th century BCE, famously mentions Ethiopians, and they frequently appeared in later Greek mythology and playwrights' work. So there we go right there, right? That's sort of a conversation ender right out the gate. Black people were included into this. Africans were included into this from Homer's Odyssey itself. They aren't just making this up or pulling at nothing, right? This is from like the source material that this film is being made from, guys. This conversation is getting absolutely ridiculous. Okay, when we look at all of the faces that are going to be inside this film, yes, there's not a lot of Greeks necessarily, but what do Greeks look like? They look like white people, right? And I know race is a very like sensitive topic, sensitive discussion, so stay with me here as we make our way through this. Okay, but we can look at more evidence here. It says visual arts are highlighted by the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Artists in the archaic and classic periods frequently depicted Africans' physical features in everyday scenes of Greek pottery and in terracotta. Okay, religious and commerce. In bustling port cities like Athens, people of African descent worked as tradesmen and sailors. Some served important roles in foreign religious practices that gained popularity in Greece, such as priestesses in the cult of Isis. And so there we go, guys. Okay, like historically they were present, and they're even included and written into the Odyssey novel. Now, does it say Helen of Troy inside of Homer's Odyssey was black? No, not necessarily. But like I said, these are fantasy characters made up from Greek mythology. Let's not get overly ridiculous here. But like I said, I will give leeway Travis Scott's inclusion is a little bit ridiculous, but I already explained how his role sort of makes sense, right? They're not having him play like some super serious character necessarily. I think he's going to be like the narrator for the movie. And like I said, he's going to be playing a bard inside of this film. He's not going to be like a soldier on the battlefield, right? At least to my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below. I'm open to an open dialogue of conversation here. Let's have the conversation. But just to go one step further, it even says here, Africans were depicted on ancient Greek coins, sometimes in positions of honor or associated with legendary heroes. So there we go right there. Like, I have definitely been seeing in the comment sections, especially for these trailers, just tons of racist comments. So we can go through a little bit of them if we want to, again, further this discussion and talk about it. Because while we can have legitimate criticisms here, there is a difference once you cross that line and that threshold over into just making random racist remarks just because there's black people in a film that takes place in ancient Greece. Right? And we're going to dive into the comments in a second, but trust me, I've been seeing the craziness surrounding this. Now, at first I didn't see it. I was just watching the trailers and just doing what we do here on the channel, right? Covering what I want to cover, things that interest me. This film is something that interests me. I'm a huge fan of Nolan and a huge fan of Greek mythology. So going into this, I was excited. But yes, the dislikes on this trailer have been insane. It's like 3 times the likes or maybe even further than that. Like, this has been getting review bombed to hell. There's definitely this hate narrative for this movie. And like I said, we could have legit criticisms. Some of it seems illegitimate to me, to be completely honest though. But let's get into the comments right here, just to pull up a few. So this one right here says, "Look at me, I'm the Helen now." Now, I'll be honest, it's a little bit funny. Okay, I'll give you some leeway there. It is a little bit funny, but if you don't know what they're referencing here, they're referencing the movie Captain Phillips with the very famous movie quote and voiced line of "Look at me, I am the captain now," where like these African pirates are getting on, or Somali pirates, right, if I'm not mistaken, are taking over this ship, and that's a voice line that they say. So they're pretty much saying, like, making a reference to Lupita Nyong'o and comparing her to this African or Somali pirate, which is distasteful and crazy as hell. But like I said, is it a funny, clever joke? It is, but there is this underlying layer of like race here. It's very strange, but we can continue here with more like hateful comments, honestly. Okay, so this one right here says, "The Odyssey Downtown LA edition." I'll give you that one. Okay, let's keep going here. Here's another like actual just straight up racist one, right, where it says, "The face that launched 1,000 shits," right? And if you don't know what this is, if you're not like on Twitter and things like that, and you aren't just seeing like the underbelly of the internet and all of the scum and scoundrels and all of their terrible remarks, that is a reference to another just racist meme about black people in general. So like I said, a lot of this is just straight up stemming from just people being pure racist. It's kind of insane that this is getting this much momentum and people are really buying into this. Like, that's crazy to me. We can have a legitimate discussion, especially once this film releases and drops in theaters. And trust me, if this film is bad, if this film is trash, if everything you guys have been saying about it is true, I will come on this channel and say, oh, everyone was right and I was incorrect and this movie is very bad. And we'll do what we do here on Demigod ENT, which is trash bad movies at times when it's required. And then if this movie's amazing on the other side, you know, I will big it up and say great things about it. But trust me, you know, I'm not just like a Nolan shill. I'm not just a Hollywood shill. I'm not just going to come on the channel and say it's amazing no matter what. Like, if the movie's garbage, if Nolan actually misses here, which I'd be very surprised about, but if he does, we're going to come on the channel and I'm going to give an honest and open review for you guys and tell you that this movie was trash. I'll be completely honest with you, but I really don't think it's going to be just going into this. But let's continue here with this final comment. It says, "I'm surprised they forgot the rap music." Now, like, does anything else even need to be said, guys? Like, this is like very straightforward in terms of where this type of momentum is coming from on the internet in terms of the hate train for this film. It's distasteful, it's dishonest. Like, there's like 2 to 3 black people that have been casted for this film, and like 2 out of the 3 have like decent roles inside of the movie. The rest of the cast, I guess outside of Zendaya, like, I haven't even been seeing a lot about Zendaya, by the way. People haven't really been caring about her. I guess, you know, Zendaya's won over that side of the internet. But she's like extremely light skinned, so maybe they're like, okay, we'll give you a pass on that one. But guys, the rest of the cast, they look like they belong in ancient Greece, if you know what I'm saying. Like, what are we complaining about here? But just to sum things up, guys, I just wanted to talk about how I'm feeling about the movie going into this. Okay, I'm very excited. I thought a lot of other people were too. but apparently not. Okay, I'm seeing the huge hate train. I'm seeing the complaints. Oh, also, I didn't even mention Elliot Page being like another huge reason why this is getting the hate it is. Really, it's like Lupita Nyong'o, Travis Scott, Elliot Page. That's like the three names right there that are why people are calling this DEI, this and that, and are hating on this film and trashing it, and dislikes, insane dislikes. Apparently it's like over 300,000 dislikes if you go to like other websites where it reveals the dislikes on videos that YouTube has hidden. If you know who Elliot Page is, right, which by the way, we're getting into like controversial stuff that we never discuss on the channel. Really, I never get into these topics on the channel because they're divisive. Like, they're extremely divisive. But this is a transitioned person, right? And so two black people, a transition person, everyone hates this movie now, apparently, because of that. It's a little insane to me, a little ridiculous, a little over the top. But like I said, if the movie's trash, I'll come tell you guys it's trash. I already got my tickets to go see this in IMAX. And by the way, I've looked at the tickets. The ticket sales are not looking good for this one, guys. They aren't. So is this train going to have an impact on the box office for this film? Potentially. But I think, you know, if this movie comes out, once that Thursday release hits and people are having good word of mouth, saying good things about the film, then the film's going to do amazing things at the box office, regardless of everything we've been seeing here. But on the other hand, you know, if it comes out and that word of mouth is very weak and people are saying, hey, this film is not it, Christopher Nolan finally missed and everyone else was right going into this movie, then it is what it is, right? The box office is going to tank for this film. It's really based off word of mouth, is my opinion, going forward on the box office for this movie and its performance in theaters. But overall, guys, those are my thoughts on this official countdown trailer, and also just all the controversy surrounding this film, and really the hate trains leading into it. A lot of it seems to stem from like racism and hatred and bigotry and a ton of other things. Okay, I've been on the internet a very long time in terms of like as an observer, as a viewer, so I know how these things go. Okay, I've been in all the different types of forums and all the different types of websites, platforms. I know all of this stuff. I know how people truly feel in their hearts. All right, but those are my thoughts on these topics. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this trailer and more specifically this controversy down in the comment section down below. Like I said, I'm open to a dialogue. Let's have like a respectful conversation about it and actually discuss it. Okay, and if you don't know what we do here on Demigod ENT, we do film, TV, and pop culture based content. If you're interested in this type of content, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.